What is up, my legends? My name is VTR, and welcome back to another movie review, part of VTR's Creepy Fright. Now, today we're going to be reviewing A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors. Going into this one, I actually had very high expectations because most people see Dream Warriors as the best movie in the franchise. And so going into it, I kind of had that mindset going into it. Also, but before I get into the actual review, let's go ahead and read the synopsis of the film. During a hallucinatory incident, young Kristen Parker has her wrist slashed by dream-stalking monster Freddy Krueger. Her mother, mistaking the wounds for a suicide attempt, sends Kristen to a psychiatric ward, where she joins a group of similar troubled teens. One of the doctors there is Nancy Thompson, who has battled Freddy some years before. Nancy senses the potential in Kristen to rid the world of Freddy once and for all. That's all I can really say without giving out too much. But yes, if you from that synopsis, you would know that Heather Langenkamp, Nancy Thompson, returns for this movie, and that's one thing that makes this movie feel a lot more like a sequel to the first movie. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like a requel situation where it ignores the second part or anything, but like it's definitely interesting for us bringing her back. It feels definitely like picking up from where the first movie left off. Even though obviously, yes, the second movie is clearly a sequel because obviously it takes place in the same house and all that, and Freddy Krueger and all that stuff. But you know what I'm trying to say. Going into this film, like I said, I had high expectations, and I feel like they were mostly met. I really do. Because most people say this is the best movie in the series, and personally, I think I agree, at least as of the ones I've reviewed right now. But from what I know, and from what I remember, and just all that stuff, from what I know, the franchise is a downhill spiral from here. Until we get to like New Nightmare. Anyway, I really think going into this one, Robert Englund is now like really getting into what we know Freddy for. Like this movie is probably his best balance of still being scary, and being scary, but also having his comedic and being iconic, but he's not over the top. I'm pretty sure some of the sequels I had to go a little too far with his jokey and campiness. But with that being said, I do think this movie is done pretty well. There are some characters that I just feel like could have been handled a little better. And also I kind of would maybe want a little more creativity, a little bit with the dream world aspect, with like everyone sharing a dream, and maybe a little less in some parts, because some parts it does feel a little silly. Specifically the wizard part, if you know what I'm talking about. But the effects in this one are really good. A lot of the makeup and practical effects are really good, and there's some very much intense scenes in this movie. One where Freddy is piloting someone like a marionette puppet with like their veins or their tendons or whatever it is. It's definitely a very intense scene, and I think the movie does a fantastic job with that. And even right before that, literally you get a stop motion Freddy, which looks really good. Which would have been cool to see it a little longer, but obviously it was just for that one shot, which was still really cool though, I'd say. I think we get the one of the what I think is probably one of the most iconic kills in this franchise, which is the TV kill. I think is one of the most iconic in this franchise. Um, I do think the final act is kind of where the movie starts to little bit like, okay, kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit off at points to me. That's just the only thing really where it starts to dip off a little bit. Not too much. It still feels all right. It's not like terrible or even bad. It's just like it feels a lot weaker than the rest of the film. And there's also the parts with the junkyard and everything, which also I feel like also is a little like I feel like it does have plot relevance for why it's going on, but I think it could have been handled a little bit better. But it also, but yeah, I don't really know what I'm saying at the moment. Um, you clearly can tell from this review compared to my last review of Hostel 2, I have a lot more to say about this movie. Um, but I do think the movie handles its effects. Mostly the acting is pretty good. I don't really think there's any really bad acting. There's really only one character where I feel like could have been a little better, but I don't remember her name. Is it on here on the? Uh, I don't remember. I don't remember her name. But the girl that gets killed in the TV, uh, in the TV stream, whatever. I think she might be the probably the one of the weakest characters in the movie, but it's also not that weak. I'm kind of reaching to find things to quote unquote complain about with this movie. Um, because I really did enjoy this movie, and I think it is probably is so far at least, and I don't think it's gonna get topped. The best in the franchise. I think it's better than the original. I do think this movie is better than the original, and it's hard for me not to give this movie a super high rating because of that. Um, 'Cause personally, I think it does pretty much everything it sets out to do relatively well. I think the comedy, when it's not too much, it's it's very much it works because it's not too much. There's not too much laughing and comedy going on here. It's not over the top comedy. Um, with that being said, I guess it's a good time to transition to the Rotten Tomatoes score. By the way, also real quick, you guys want to see me maybe mix it up every now and again, and maybe do IMDb scores, or maybe do both? Let me know in the comments. Um, but both critics and audiences both give this movie a 68 on Rotten Tomatoes. So at least in the people on Rotten Tomatoes, they're pretty much on the same page with this movie. Personally, I probably would. I think it maybe deserves at least from this. Maybe give that 2%. Give it that 2% to give it that 70 at least. Um, but I do think this movie is handled extremely well. I do think it sets to accomplish what it's here to do very well. I think it definitely is just I don't know. It's definitely probably the my favorite in the franchise so far. My personal rating? It's really hard for me to give this any lower than this. So the only reason why I'm giving it this is because I'm giving it a 4.5. I'm not gonna lie. I think it is a great film. The only reason why it's not a full-on 5 is, like I said, the few bits where I feel like some stuff could have been done a little bit better, and some of the characters could have been a little bit better, but that's me trying to grab things to complain about and everything, and also the final act dipping off a little bit, and the other side plot and everything with. But like that's me trying to find something, because most of the time I'm enjoying this movie. I think this movie is done very well. It looks nice. The dream sequences are great. I think a lot of it is, even when it's silly sometimes, it's still creative and everything. I think a lot of the characters are very interesting and likable. But and I personally just enjoy this movie quite a bit. But that's really all I have to say about the movie. What do you guys think of A Nightmare on Elm Street Dream Warriors? I think it is a great film. I really, really do. I think they did a great job with it. But what do you guys want to? What do you guys think down in the comment section below? But that's gonna be it for this review, guys. Next review you guys see on this channel should be Saw X. So hopefully that'll be the next review you guys get. Will be Saw X. I'm hoping that's my plan. Which hopefully will come out tomorrow, because I'm going to see it later today. I wanted to do a video on the channel talking about the rest of the franchise before I went and saw it, but hey, maybe I'll do a video talking about the whole franchise as a whole before the end of Creepy Frights. But that's all I'm going to say for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed. You guys know the drill, and I will see you guys in the next video. And also remember, there will be a second video coming out today, and it will be a Creepy Frights related video. So I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!